Hi, this is Brian Murray from hobokenhomefinder.com. I'm coming to you from the kitchen table for one reason, and this is where most of the decisions do get made for buyers when they're deciding whether to purchase and what to bid for a house. And today's topic is going to be bidding wars and why it really is a buyer's best friend to have a bidding war as opposed to perhaps just being the only person in the negotiation. Believe it or not, it's sort of counterintuitive, but I'm going to tell you why. In this market, there are bidding wars going on. Believe it or not, they're the good properties that are priced right. People want to buy them. A lot of buyers want to buy them, and hence you end up with a bidding war scenario. Let me take you through that. For instance, people wanted to have, say, this pen right here, and they wanted to purchase it. It's a very nice, fancy pen, and it shines, and it writes really well, and it snap clicks, and the whole bit. Now you have a couple of different people who already have pens, perhaps. Maybe they have a nice little pen like this one. It's got a cap, but you lose the cap. And then you have this one here. It does snap click, but it's kind of cheap, and it's got like a TD Bank logo on it, and you don't really want to have something like that. And then, of course, maybe somebody's got something that's not really quite a pen, but just doing the job sort of in between, like a crayon. So what ends up happening is that these buyers, they go out, these three little buyers here, they go out, and then they all see this cool pen, and they all want to trade in this writing instrument for this pen. So what happens is that, if there's just one buyer, then he'll say, well, perhaps I'll give you $500,000 for your pen. And then the seller kind of negotiates and says, well, maybe that's not what I want. Maybe, and they'll go back and forth, and maybe they'll come to a deal. Maybe they won't, because this pen here doesn't want to overpay for the $500,000 for this, and that might be a bit of a concern. So what ends up happening is that this guy goes away. Now what happens if there's all three of these guys and they all want this pen? What these guys would do is they would do something called a highest and best offer, which means that you've all put in a bid and you've said that you really want this $500,000 pen. And so what the seller of this pen will do is say, guys, give us your highest and best. And that really is an offer that if you get, you're likely to feel comfortable with. There's less buyer's remorse because you've really gone up to that number that you're not going to go above without essentially feeling like you might pull out. So if you only had, say, two parties and you did an auction style, and this guy here said, well, who'll give me $499, and this guy will say $499, and they say, who'll give me $500, and he'll say this, and then they'll go to 501 and 502 and 503, and they're all excited, and 504 and 505, and then all of a sudden this guy gets it for 506 and he goes away. Now he's like, well, 506 might have been too much. I got caught up. And this guy goes away. And then, this poor pen that wanted to be sold is kind of stuck. So now, if you have a highest and best and you have two or three parties, what ends up happening is that the parties will really give that best offer. So that when this guy here says, $499, and this guy says $500, and this guy says $501, Mr. Penn over here knows that this 501 is very likely to go through. Everybody had the same opportunity and the same shot at it, and there wasn't a lot of additional emotion and pressure, and that's why this guy got maybe the highest offer that he could have gotten. Maybe it's not the highest because in a bidding an auction style, maybe one of these guys would have gone higher, maybe it would have closed, but unlikely. So instead, all three of these guys benefit because they know that they gave their best shot at purchasing this, and if they didn't get it, well, then they can go home and sleep at night going, what, we valued it at the best price we valued it at. We offered that value. This guy didn't want it for that value, and we'll move on to something else, versus always thinking, oh, well, geez, I could have gone up a little more and maybe gotten it, or I did lowball this guy and he was negotiating with me, and then this guy came in with a much higher number and stole it right out from underneath me. If I had only known that I had to go to 500 from the beginning, that this would have worked out. Anyway, that's why a bidding war is a buyer's best friend, because everybody gets to really value it. There isn't a lot of this somebody coming in at the last minute and swiping the property. The buyers and the sellers are comfortable that each one of them understands the value that the other person brings to the table. And so for Brian Murray at hobokenhomefinder.com, this is my explanation of why a bidding war really is in your best interest.